Don't be an old school salesperson by spamming people and name tag hunting and opening up with an inhuman intro like, "Hey, what do you do there? How much budget you got?" Like, if you go there as a team, don't cluster. Don't cluster together as like your little group. Spread out. You're there to meet people and make connections.
Hey everyone, my name is Dennis Mink. I'm here hosting Just One Thing, and today I have a very special guest, somebody that I've known for many, many years, and an icon of the industry, a funny human being filled with as much personality and quirks as one could possibly have. Founder of the AppGrow Summit that goes back 8 years, working that much longer in the industry, Louis, and by the way, thank you for coming and joining me. I was like, I'm not sure I've ever actually said your last name out loud.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
How do you say your last name?
Let's see. Take a guess. Let's see how it goes.
It's like
It's
Tanguay?
so close, but yet so far. Tanguay. Tanguay.
Tanguay?
Yeah, it's a French Canadian. So Louis Adela Tanguay
My
is
God.
correctly but you could just say Louis Tanguay is fine.
Louis Tanguay. I mean, think about
It's
it, 'cause
no Dennis Mink.
I mean, Mink is very easy. Like it literally occurred to me when I was looking at your name. I go, how do you pronounce your last name? I've never even tried after all these years to Tanguy? Tanguay?
Tanguay.
Tanguay. Oh God.
Yeah, if you want to get really into it, you could just say Tanguay is fine. I'll accept that. A lot of people they think it when they just look at it, they think it might be Filipino, like Tanguay, you know, but it's not. I am, yeah.
So does
So
that mean, are you French Canadian? Is your family from Quebec?
part, yeah, my father's side is like my grandfather is a really old name, which is my middle name, Adela, which is extremely old French name. So I'm actually the third in this lineage of Louis Tanguay, Adela Tanguays. And but my mom was full Italian. Hey, forget about it. So from the motherland. No, her grandparents are from, Italy. So Northeast Italian Americans is how I was raised, but I got the name from dear old pops.
Daryl Pops. Meaning like Pops as like he was your pops or like that was
No, like father, you know what I'm saying?
father. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
actually, yeah, it came from the grandfather technically.
Got it.
Anyways,
Anyways, yeah, yeah. Dude, it's great to have you on. I know we did a little prep call, a few days ago, and we just said, man, we should just start recording and kind of see where this goes. I mean, this is just one thing. Obviously, I'm very interested in like talking about all things Acro Summit. Like I said, I know that you've got like a story to tell. Like I definitely want to hear it. You've been at this now for 8 years, right?
yeah,
27.
Apco Summit. Yeah, Apco Summit about 8 years now. I was in the industry a few years before that. A little more than a few years before that, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
before that, ran a digital marketing agency, and before that, the film industry, and we don't have to go back too much further because 'cause it'll reveal my age.
yeah, yeah. And before we kind of get into it, let me ask you a couple questions. So tell me again. I think you just mentioned this. Where'd you grow up?
In Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, in the Northeast US.
Huh. Okay.
It's a great place to be from. It's the smallest state in the United States, and it's got an independence streak. It was the last of the 13 colonies to join, and they didn't wanna join after the war, but, they said, "Either you join or we'll just split you up between Connecticut and Massachusetts," and they said, "Okay, we'll join."
So Rhode Island's smaller than Delaware. I thought Delaware was a
It's the smallest state in the union by far.
by
Yeah, it's very small. It's only 30 miles long.
got it. And
But lots of personality. Lot of famous people, artists come from there. The Farrelly brothers, Shepard Fairey went to school there. Talking Heads went to RISD, Rhode Island School of Design. Lot of great stuff. Johnson and Wales Culinary School is there. Very great place to be from. Very artistic city.
yeah. I went to graduate school in Connecticut, at Connecticut College, like Eastern Connecticut, and I definitely
Yale?
drove through Rhode Island many times on my way to Boston and Maine.
Oh, cool.
Uh,
Where'd you go? Yale?
no, no, Connecticut College. It's like a
Okay.
very small I would describe it as a small private liberal arts college where students who have come from families with money who couldn't get into, like the bigger schools, like Yale and Harvard and Princeton, they would end up at Connecticut College.
Mm.
They had a graduate departments in, graduate programs in psychology and zoology, and I was in the psychology department.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna go get my PhD and pursue that path, which I didn't do.
Yeah, one of my cousins said a similar thing. Like he had a 5.0 grade point average, but couldn't get into Brown because he didn't have the right connection. So he settled for Georgetown. Not bad, but
Yeah, exactly. So, cool, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you, joining us today. Like I said, I know you have some very interesting story to tell about AGS. Let's kind of like I'd love to kind of keep this a bit loose. It's just considering how long we've known each other and we have a great relationship, and so let's kind of see where it goes. I'll push you and stretch you in some ways, and I know you'll do the same with me. Like where should we start on this thing? I know back in 2017, you called me up one day and you said I'm gonna go start my own event production company called the Apro Summit. And I'm like, hell yes, love the entrepreneurial spirit. Um, will support you. This is back in my liftoff days. And you've just been running ever since.
yeah. So thank you for the initial encouragement there. Cause when you're thinking about jumping ship, you just need someone to kind of go, yeah, you should do that. Go ahead, jump. It's going to be fine. You'll live. So this is my third business. I started my first business, which is a music magazine, right out of college. And again, with a little bit of encouragement, my instructor at the time for music business, he's like asked us to do a business plan. So I did about a music magazine and how I could do it differently, of course. And he's like, "Why don't you just do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, when I graduate." He's like, "No, seriously, like this college is repetitive. It's kind of like a waste of your time. Like this is like A+ stuff. You just do this." Then I said, "Well, I don't know. How am I going to get, interviews and stuff?" And then he said something that changed my life. He said, "You'd be surprised who you can get on the phone if you just try." So I took that as my life motto. You'd be surprised what you can accomplish if you just go for it. So I quit college after one semester, went back home to Rhode Island and just started grinding, taught myself graphic design, photography, everything that I would need to learn how to do a magazine because obviously I'm a poor college dropout. So I did that for like 8 years. So I joined the film industry. So that was my first, business. My second one was the marketing agency after the Great Recession, got laid off from the second film studio and said, "Hey, let me do this." And now here we are again, third time's the charm. We're keeping it going here. I wonder what will be the fourth one. Maybe we'll do something together in this. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I wouldn't discount it. I don't discount it. You never know. And so what possessed you? I mean, 2017, you're like, "Screw it, I wanna, go and start my own thing." Like, what were you obviously have the DNA for, like, jumping in, like, going and building where something doesn't quite exist yet. So, like, what were some of the motivation or the drivers around that?
So I was doing event production for a different company, and at the events, you talk to people at the events, of course. So a lot of the attendees kept saying, "I miss MAU when it was small because MAU is a monster. Everyone has to go there. The biggest event of the industry, obviously and clearly, and well deserved. But people wanted a smaller alternative that wasn't too salesy, and they said, "I miss MAU when it was small, when we could all just talk and it was more like a community." And, all these events are like, "I want to be big. I want to be over 1,000 people. I want to do this. I want to do that." Then they let in as much people as possible to try to get those numbers. But then it's the personality and the soul that's not there. So I said, "You know what? Find out what the people want and give it to them." And I said, "We're going to do these invite only events so we can curate the attendance. Then this way, it's not only good for the attendees because they will have a good community feel, but it's also good for the sponsors because they won't have to compete with a bunch of people just buying cheap tickets to still work the room. This way, it protects the sponsorship investment as well. So it works for both. And, 8 years later, that's the proof that we're still going strong and had our by far record year this year. So we just keep growing and, hopefully we'll just keep going and going and going.
Yeah. And I know you're up to how many events are you up to hosting now, like, over the course of a year?
This year we did 15. total, we've done like 106.
Yeah.
Next year, though, we're gonna pull it back to 11, and we're only gonna do events that are in the 200 to 400 range, 200 to 500, because I think that's the sweet spot. Over 200, 250s minimum, that gives you that energy of feeling like you're in something, but it's still under the 500, so then you don't feel like it's a sea of humanity, so you feel the energy, but you also still feel connected.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was there at the, AGS Berlin event earlier this year in June, but it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. Your 2-day event, I thought it was so good. Content sessions were great. Everything about it I thought was just very, very well executed.
Thank
I've
you.
been, like, incredibly happy, like, participating, sponsoring, speaking, et cetera, in your events over the years. I know along the way, as you were listen, there's always like there's many different, sides to like a story. And it usually like going and building a business is not just a nice, smooth, easy process. It's filled with all sorts of like challenges and headaches and so on. And I would love to kind of like maybe like kind of probe a little bit on like along the way from 2017 to 2025, like what were some of, like, the real challenges that you've dealt with, like, personally, professionally, with the business? Kinda share, like, 1 or 2 stories with us.
Sure, thanks. The first step is obviously getting started and like, is this actually going to work? Because, I started the company with, only $15,000 in the bank to my name, living in LA. And even back then, that wasn't a lot of money. So there's a lot of stress, gained a lot of weight, definitely became unhealthy and stressed out. It was a challenge because I had to do everything myself again, but I had done that with the music magazine, so I wasn't unfamiliar. Like I'll sleep 3 hours a night and eat the work if I have to, because I just have to have the thing work. So I did, and then we started growing. About 2 years in, we were ready to have like a really good year. Then the pandemic hit. And then obviously doing live events, pandemic doesn't really work out. So I am not one to just like call it quits. So I said, okay, well, I don't like the virtual stuff that's out there. It just doesn't feel like community based. Like you have to go on this screen for the content, then that screen to network. It's like everything should be on one screen. So I basically got an old developer friend of mine from my marketing agency. I said, hey, I want to build an online platform. And he's like, all right, I got nothing else to do. So we did. So we built an online platform that we could still use to this day. And that was able to really help us. And it kept that AGS feel. And I think that helped us continue to grow. And then the next pivotal point was that we were running extremely lean. There was only like 3 or 4 of us in the whole team, and I was gonna buy a house here in Austin, and, it's the dream, come from California, go to Austin, it's cheaper, get a house, all that stuff, but then I realized how much the house was actually gonna cost me, and I'd kinda be like a slave into my own home, like it'd be a prison, because then I would continue to have to overwork myself because all the money would be going into this house. So I said, if I don't do the down payment and I don't do the extra stuff and I just stay living in my two-bedroom townhome because I'm a single guy with no kids, it's like, how much space do I really need? Especially with the traveling and everything for the event. So I said, you know what? Let me go all in again to this company because that's my habit. I've been rewarded by just diving in and taking chances. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take all this chunk of money and I'm going to hire more people to get this business to the next level. And if I hire the right people for the right salary amounts, then I believe in what we're doing here. And sure enough, we hired 4 more people. Now we're up to 9. And those 4 or 5 people that I hired in that period have been instrumental to get us to the level we're at now. And I have no regrets about not having a bigger house. And I am totally happy having my team and living in a townhome. It's
Yeah.
not so bad, right?
That's
It's
like
kind of
a
cute.
that's a bold move. That's a
Yeah,
bold
but
move.
when the advantage that I have is, like I said, it's a lonely existence sometimes, but it's like when you're single and have no kids, you can take risks as if you're young because that's what I think youth has is they have time and there's no risk involved. They're like, "Oh, it's just me." So you could take a risk and it fail and it doesn't matter because you're not affecting anyone. If I had children and a wife or something like that, then I might be more hesitant to do it because I have people that are directly affected by what might be a misguided choice. But, I have that freedom and luxury, so everything's a hit or miss or give or take depending on your situation. Everyone's story is a different book.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and of course, I see, as part of that, it looks to me like as part of this decision to invest significantly more into building out into the business and hiring people and, you know, producing more events for the industry. At the same time, I mean, it's not lost on me. I've been saying this to you for a while. Like I see you as living like this is the best version of you I've ever seen. And I see you like living this life that looks like you're living the best life that you've lived like in your life. You traveling, you are so into health and exercise, and you're on the road like much of the year now, but in a really good way. From what I see, in a very very positive way.
Yeah, it's like I have that anchor here in Austin where I can come home. I've got friends here. I've got a place, but also now I've got friends all over the world. So it's like a digital nomad with an anchor, like I can go out there and live, and wherever I go, I've got friends thanks to this job in this industry. And I just love traveling. And then because our events, you go to the same or similar cities all the time. Now it's like I feel like when I go to Berlin, I was just hanging out with Terry Ko and Young and Ju, a couple of their friends in Berlin. And I was like, oh, we go here, go there, go this. It's like, whoa, did you used to live here? It's like, nah, I just been coming here for like 7, 8 years. So it's like just, you go to these places and they almost feel like home as well. So I have like kind of like 10 homes. I was just in Istanbul and I was like only there a few times, but still it's like I feel like, part of the city, like I understand it, I get it. I'm starting to speak some of the languages depending on where I go, like Portuguese now, I'm almost there with it, but a little bit of Espanol, we'll work on the French. We'll see.
Right. So actually, I'm glad that you bring this up. I wonder to what extent does this feeling of like having like, multiple homes all across the world where you've been organizing and hosting ages events for the app growth industry, like how much of that actually comes from immersing yourself in these local growth communities across the world?
Yeah, I think it's vitally important. It's similar to like a little example of that is when I went down to Brazil the first time, I don't want to be just some American gringo who's going down there to make money off of the country. I wanted them to know that like, I'm going here because I like the actual community. I like Brazil. I love the food. The language, I think, is one of the sexiest sounding languages, Brazilian Portuguese. And just, the people are so warm and friendly, and it's, like, great people in Brazil. Uh, you know, "Eu amo Brasil. Muito obrigado, brasileiros." So I go down there and I just feel the warmth when you go there. It's kinda like anything else. When you go there to assimilate with the culture, with the local community, and you authentically become friends with people, it just feels much better. They feel the connection too. It's just so much better than like, hey, I'm here for work and you pop in, you pop out. So I also stay at these places a little longer. Like I just don't come in on a Sunday and leave on a Friday. I'll go in for a week early or stay a week later. And then that helps you feel like you're part of the community, especially coming in a week before the event week.
Mm.
Cause then it's like you've lived there for a whole week as a local. It just makes everything feel better. It's funny, like every single event that I go to, everyone's like, "Oh, you live here? Where do you live? What neighborhood?" And I'm like, "No, I live in Austin." They're like, "What?" Every single place they think I actually live there, which is cool.
It is cool. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that, like, you're spending, like, several weeks at a time in these different locations where you're hosting events. I don't know, man. Looks fun. Looks like a fun lifestyle. How, from a business perspective, like and again, I'm gonna throw questions at you, you don't have to answer, like, how
No, go
profitable
for
is
it.
your business?
How profitable? Well, without getting into the numbers.
Yeah.
Sorry, IRS. No. We had a record year this year. We've made almost doubled on what we did the past 3 years. We kind of hit that plateau, like I was talking about, where I'm like, we need to go to another level. Let me get the right people in here. And ever since then, we've been growing. And this year, we've almost doubled from last year. It's a lot of hard work went into it, but also a lot of good fortune and great team. I hate to sound like, oh, that's so publicity focused, right? But it is true. Like I tell my team this in private meetings too. Like they know that I feel like without them, I can only go so far. And that's what you want when you hire people, right? You hire good people to get your business to that next level. And then you have to show them that appreciation and let them know through bonuses or whatever it is that motivates them that we're all in this together. What obviously not sounding like some cheesy person, like we're all family, because obviously we're not. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, they're here to do a job, but we should have team chemistry, kind of like a sports team does. I think there's a lot of similarities between sports and business in a sense, because you have to have a good team, you have to good leadership, you have to be inspiring to the people, they have to be motivated, and it has to be good team chemistry. And if you have someone who's really good, but they're kind of like a cancer on the team, you're better off losing that really good person to make the whole team operate better with a better attitude. So there you go.
Yeah, 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 sure. Let's talk about like, so I want to talk about sponsors. I want to talk about sponsors. I mean, you're out there. So yes, I've been sponsoring many AGS events for many many years all over the world, and I know like your mission, if I were to paraphrase, is bringing the community together on a local basis to talk about the things that matter to them, to educate themselves by like learning and hearing from other people, bringing people together so they can like network both on the marketer side, the sponsor side. There's always going to be this sort of healthy tension with sponsors, like wanting to extract as much value out of your events and meeting people and getting in front, et cetera. With the marketers on the other end, like those who are there to learn it and connect and grow, wanting to do that, and they may or may not want to actually meet with various sponsors. Like, what are kind of like the sponsorship side? What are some things that you've maybe, man, I mean, I kind of want to get into it a little bit. Like maybe, like, do you have a story or two you can tell? Or, I mean, I certainly have advice for sponsors, like you want to really like get the most value out of AGS. But like, I don't know, man. I'd love to kind of hear some like things where you've seen, you're like, no, no, hard no. Like, if you want to be a good sponsor and get like great value out of AGS events, what does that look like? And then what are some things that are just like hard no, please don't do this. This does not reflect well on you, and you're not going to get a lot of value, and maybe you're not going to be a sponsor in the future.
So number one is don't be an old school salesperson by spamming people and name tag hunting and opening up with an inhuman intro like, "Hey, what do you do there? How much budget you got?" Like stuff like that has actually happened. If you go there as a team, because you rarely do you have a lone wolf, so usually the sponsorship comes with multiple tickets. Don't cluster. Don't cluster together as like your little group. Spread out. You're there to meet people and make connections, like authentic connections. There's actually a lot less time than you think. You think, "Oh, I'm gonna be there all day," and then there's the happy hour and stuff like that, but there's actually a lot less time because think about it. When you get there, you get your badge, you have to kinda scope out the area. Then you're gonna see people you already know, whether they're your fellow, sponsors, vendor service providers, or your clients are already there, prospects you've talked to, just other friends. A lot of your time is gonna be taken up just saying hi to people. So then you can't afford to have like more downtime of just that's kind of just clustering together and not being efficient. So we have an app. Everyone has an app, but we have a custom app that you can actually make meetings through the app. You can look at the list of LinkedIn people. You can try to reach out there. You probably know a lot of the people that are coming to the event. Just be a normal human and just say, "Hey, I just want to talk to you and chat." And don't be like, "Hey, I want to talk to you about my product," because people are like, "Oh, I don't want to go into a pitch." But just be a human, don't do anything, that's gonna seem overly salesy because ultimately, if there's a fit, they're gonna buy or not anyways, so there's no need to push people because they're just gonna turn them off by doing that, if anything, it's not gonna push them over the edge. Plus, the events are where you meet people. It's not where you close the deal. It's where you open the doors, not try to close the deal. And then I would say ahead of time, you see it on LinkedIn a lot. People will post, "Hey, I'm going to be at AGS X city. Hit me up if you're going to be there." And no disrespect, but that's a little lazy because you're just like, "Hey, let me know if you're going to be there." It's like, "Let me know if you want me to tell you about my services." It's like, well, at the very least, put the reason why you're there, what your focus is, what you're looking to learn in your post, and put a link to the event page where people can sign up because you 90% I had to do it today. I had to remind people in a fun, respectful way. It's like, it's awesome that you're promoting the event. Love that you're doing that, so people are more aware, but you got to put a link in there so they know where they can actually sign up to then go meet you. Cause obviously we're invite only. So if there's no link, they're not going to go. So you have to put a link in all your promotions. It's kind of like marketing 101, right? You always need a
It's so
call to
basic.
action with the
It's
link.
so basic.
Yeah, but you'd be shocked if you had to, like, view my LinkedIn stream through my eyes. It's like, just put the link. So you'll see I put in there, like, "Request your invite here," paste, "Request your invite here," paste.
Have you, like, over the last, I don't know, few years, like, I'm curious if you've had any, like, deeper conversations with growth marketers that, that attend your events around, like, things that they would want, that they find of value, things that they would want you to change, any recommendations on improving the experience for them at your events? Like, I'm just sort of curious. It's because I think at the end of the day, it's like you do have all these, you have however many sponsors coming in, and then right, and I think that there's like to a greater or lesser degree, like really like how to get value out of like an AGS event or really any other event. But I'm just kind of curious if you've done any kind of like focus group, kind of deep dive, if, amongst growth marketers around like what they value, what they appreciate, what they don't value, what they don't appreciate. And if you've done that and if that's something that you can share.
Yep. I will, obviously not give up too much of the secret sauce to because we're already, getting admired by others. Let's just say, the things I could tell you people do not want are heavy sales. They don't want a sea of salespeople just work in the room. One person who was a speaker for another event had said, "Yeah, I got off the stage and there was a line of people waiting to just hit me up about their product." And that's kind of a general experience. What happens when you say, you let 1,000 people in, four or 500 of them are going to be that type of situation because, that's just the reality of large events. What people want as far as content goes is they want something that's not generated by AI. You'll see it. Like if you look at an agenda and you say like user acquisition in 2026, like that's lame. It's generic. It's not helpful. They want substance. They spent a day of their life going out from whatever they were going to do, whether it's work or hanging out with their children or significant others at home or just taking a day off to go to a park. They're there for a reason. It could be networking, and that's great. But most people, if they feel like they've learned maybe three or four things throughout the day that were at least, "Oh, that's kind of cool," then they feel it was worth going. So the content has to be in depth. There was an event recently that I'll just say it. It doesn't matter. There's no competition thing here, but Revenue Cat, they did an event recently in New York, and everyone said the content was outstanding, that they really got people to share a lot of really good information, like real stuff, real data. That's what people want. And I think that's why people also love UA Society, is because it's like, for UA people by UA experts, so they speak the same language, they know what you want. So that's, I see everything that happens and I don't ever want to fall behind. So I'm like, okay, so I see what's going on there. We already do curate the content, and I do have my own plans and how we do that. But I always like to see and keep my ear to the ground. Obviously, it's like, okay, I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing. And how could we do it the same or better? Or how would I do it in my own way? So it's like always figuring out how to, I'm not going to sound lame and say how to add value, but how to specifically educate people, especially if you're a sponsor. The best way to sell your service is to educate the attendees. If you can educate them, teach them something they didn't know or think of something in a different way, then you've already proven your abilities and then they're going to come to you to talk about if you can help them.
Yeah. I think it's being on the side that I've been on, like running marketing, like for on like the vendor side, like I know it's tough, It's like when like I think about my early days at Liftoff, where it's like I go and I start having conversations with a dozen or so customers we had. This is like 2014, early 2015. I'm like very quickly, yeah, I found myself saying, "Listen, The depth of my experience marketing apps, running UA, it's like nothing compared to someone who's actually living and breathing it. So who am I? Like who am I really to go out there and say I'm an expert in this, or like I'm going to try to educate you around like how you can do your job better, like better to learn from others who are doing that job as well. And so, and now kind of like now think like if you're a salesperson, you're not even marketing, you're a salesperson, you're sponsoring the event and you're gonna be on stage speaking, presenting, like how I just think I could just see it being so challenging for so many people, especially for salespeople, getting it there on stage and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna like I want to educate you on something that I think will really kind of like be of value to you, make your jobs a little bit easier, make you a little bit smarter." And never mind that I'm a salesperson, put that aside and listen to my story. And I think like that's hard.
Yeah.
It's a hard pill to swallow, for like if you're a growth marketer or, if you're like the practitioner. Not entirely, but maybe you work for a company that's large enough, has a strong enough, or just simply has like a really strong reputation, in one way or another. But I think like I see it as being a big challenge. Like, why would I listen to you? You don't do my job. You really don't know. You don't understand my world.
If that's the case, then that particular service provider probably isn't going to get many sales because life is hard. You know what I mean? Like you gotta get out there, and if you want someone to trust you with their money, you better let them know that it's worth that trust, right? So if you get a salesperson who can't do the right education, then get a product person up there, talk about something, or have an account person get up there and talk. Somebody at your company has to be able to talk with expertise about the services you could provide and how and the benefits. And if not, then it probably doesn't matter because you're probably not going to be in business that long, anyways.
Yeah,
So
that's a good
I
point.
say,
I
like,
agree. I totally
yeah,
agree. I totally agree. I think that this is something that I've seen enough of where it's like you go to an event, AGS, whatever it is, and then you get a salesperson coming up on stage and they're there to educate and they're just as much selling as they are educating. It can just be hard. It could be a hard pill to swallow,
yeah.
what I find.
Well, that's where my advice to them, to continue the advice idea, is if that's the case, and I've got this silver tongued salesperson, right? There's a guy that I know in Brazil. Like the guy is like, looks good, he could talk well, everything, but he's Mr. Sales. So what he needs to do is get with his product team and polish it up, make sure that the points he's hitting is correct, then get a booth at the space. So this way the other product people can talk to the specifics. So it's like you just have to know who you are and know what your path to success is. So, like a company like that, get the guy out there who can really be glossy and pitch it, and then don't take questions. Maybe say, "Hey, if you got any questions, I'm going to be right there at that booth with everybody else, and the whole entire team is happy to answer anything and everything you got." And then this way you're on point, you hit the marks, you provide an opportunity to continue the conversation. And then the attendees appreciate that because they got the education and they know where to go to if they want to know more. And
That's
they'll
great.
be serviced by people who aren't, ignorant to the detail.
That's a great point. That's a great point. All right, a couple more questions for you. You operate in many markets. Like, do you have a favorite market?
It's the market that I'm in at the time. It's like
Yeah,
children, right?
no, no, no. What's your favorite
Now,
market? I love,
let's
Sao Paulo.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it depends on what we mean by favorite. Like, for example, I love the event we're about to do next week, which will be in the past by the time this airs. The Austin event is great because it's at a campground. So it's got that Austin-y vibe with an after party with live music and barbecue and everything like that. But then you go to Berlin, as you said, as you experienced, and we're on the Spree River, it's during the summer and like 2 days and parties and boat parties and things like that. So that's a great experience. So it's like me personally, like I love going to different cities, but the events themselves, the event experience, Berlin is a must attend. If you speak Portuguese, you got to go to Brazil because it's just fun because it's Brazil. I love the Austin event, Berlin. You know what? Actually, here's one that's really coming up that a lot of people take for granted. Paris. People don't understand how big the Paris app community really is. This year, we've just done our 3rd year, and every year we've packed the venue in. Like, it's crazy. The first year we oversold it. It's like they're like, you have to go to a new place. So the next year went to a new place. It was fine. This year they're like, you gotta go to a new place. It's just we just keep filling it up. So next year we finally found another bigger place that has a rooftop that overlooks the Eiffel Tower for our after party. So you got to come to Paris. It's a beautiful city to begin with. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Paris? Same thing with London. We had to go to bigger and bigger places. So now we're going to be right overlooking the Tower Bridge on the Thames. I know I'm kind of like throwing everything in there, that's
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
love
yeah.
them
I'd like
all.
to go to
But
Paris. I like to go to
yeah, come on,
Paris.
let's go. Biddies in Paris.
What we're gonna do, yeah, we're gonna do most of your events this next year, as you know. Ag. I'm sure you've seen a lot of garbage, and maybe you've seen some things that really kind of cut through the noise. At the end of the day, like I know that from my experience, swag is sort of like one additional layer to the overall experience that that like growth marketers have with with vendors, with brands, and so on. I'm just kind of curious, like, is there anything you've seen where that you've thought these guys really have it down, like they're really smart, clever? Share your thoughts on that.
I think when it comes to that, you have to think of something should it's like a multifaceted answer because ultimately you want something that's usable, right? You want usable and attractive. People don't want to get something just because of a giant logo on it. Like, for example, some people want t-shirts. So no one's going to want to wear your t-shirt. Oh, we got hats. People don't want to wear your hat. It's like, but if you've got a Stanley Cup, something like that, people will use that, go to the gym with it, put coffee in it, whatever you do with a Stanley Cup. If you're a hockey fan, different Stanley Cup. So, you have that, battery packs or whatever, the things that clip onto your phone, power packs. Anything that's usable that has your logo on it would be really great. Stuff like that. I would say if you're gonna do something swaggy and apparel based, then make the logo more subtle. For example, I'm gonna jump over here to grab something real quick. I have our own swag. Shameless, but it's not for sale, so it's okay. But see, like our jacket,
I remember that.
it has the logo at the bottom,
Yeah,
so it's a nice looking jacket that you would actually want to wear, but it doesn't have a giant logo on it.
yeah,
So I think that's the secret is like, say, like you got that or you get a beanie or something like that. Like put the logo, but make it more subtle and classy. And then people will want to wear it. Make sure it's good material. Like that jacket is basically a repurposed spider jacket. So if you do any skiing, you know what a spider jacket is and how cool they are. A good mid-layer jacket that you would wear um, at the lodge or something like that, or in Austin winter or an LA winter. But
well,
so there you go. I'd say usable, classy, good material. It's more expensive, but it's worth it because you're essentially paying a small price when you think about the number of insertions you're going to get from that highly used
yeah,
swag.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely like swag. I really, from my view, it's really about branding and awareness and retention. Bessie, who is part of my marketing team here at Biddies, and we worked together for 3+ years at Liftoff previously. So the other day, I think it was like today's Friday, yeah, earlier this week, she said, "Hey, our upcoming for an upcoming event, she's concerned. We've been doing like in Europe, we've been doing these smaller little ultra cute Stanley tumblers, like, they're not it's just small, like, I'm like, good for, like, to hold an Americano, like, that's it, and we said, "Let's try doing these, like, smaller petite Stanley mugs or tumblers for AGS Berlin," and they were very popular. We then since have done them a couple other times. We did, Barcelona, very, very popular, but now it's just coming back to me saying, "Hey, like, some salespeople are raising some concern that with us doing this because other companies are also doing like tumblers and bottles and so on. And she's like, "Oh, maybe we should do something else because this isn't." I mean, I think it's not like maybe it's trending again, or maybe it's just always there. But what I tell her is, I'm like, "Don't worry about it. You have a really high quality, well known brand name. Like that's very different from a non-brand name, in this case, a Tumblr or, but like you've seen it. I mean, you see it all. I think like the hardest thing from my view, like with events, I mean, there's many things, but like, You wanna, like, really, understand your positioning, you wanna, like, represent your brand in a very strong way, you wanna educate, throughout the experience of the event, you wanna have some high quality swag that ideally is, like, of high value of use and differentiated from others. There's only, it's like, if you go work with any, like, swag vendor, they're all gonna come back to you with, like, "Here you go, we got, like, 20 ideas for you," and it's all the same crap.
Yeah, that's why it's better to, like, find something that's cool and then go find the people that can customize it. Like, this spider jacket, like, you can't just go to a catalog and get spider jackets, like, we had to find someone who could get spider jackets and then find someone else who can embroider it. Another thing, candy. Goodies, something like that that people can grab because the 3 o'clock crash comes. They wanna go to your booth and grab something. And if you're gonna do the swag, yeah, say like 7 people have water bottles. Cool, that's awesome. Now consider it a challenge to make yours the sexiest. Make yours the one that people wanna grab. Takes a little bit extra effort, but the rewards that you get from that little extra effort and everything you do in life is my opinion, is well worth it. A little bit extra effort can pay a lot more in interest and dividends, right?
Agree. I agree. Cool, man. Well, listen, I wanna say, "Hey, you have any questions for me?" No, that's a wrong
Yeah.
form. Thank you for joining me. Really very natural, very easy conversation as always. Is there anything else that you wanna share that I can help put out there for you?
Yeah, I mean, nothing major. I would say, like, we painted a great picture of my life. So if people want to follow me, they can follow me on Instagram. They can follow App Growth Summit on Instagram at App Growth Summit for sure. Then we're going to be adding a lot more content as we grow out a marketing team. But if you're curious about, all the crazy adventures I get into in life, it's at Lutang, Lutang. So
Perfect.
follow me there or off of App Growth Summit. I'll be tagged, I'm sure. But we got a lot of great stuff coming this year. A lot of new venues, new content that's coming. We're looking for partners that we can work with to produce more content out there to give to the community. We're looking into we're bringing back our Appy Hour podcast, creating a Slack community. We're a little slow on some of these things because we don't want to do it unless we do it in our way, the AGS way that has style and substance as well, and it's just not another generic thing that everyone else is doing. So once we get it, then we got it. Like the Appy Hour talk show is more talk show style, so we'll have you on that, gotta return the favors,
Mm,
where it's more like just,
yeah,
"Who is this person?" Kinda like what we did here a little bit, It's,
yeah,
very conversational. And
yeah,
we got a little section in the middle that's called "Talk Nerdy to Me," so this is
yeah.
where we could talk tech and stuff like that.
I know segments, man. I used to do segments on podcasts and everything, and now I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." Webinars, like, let's just get on a call and riff for a bit. I found a PowerPoint, literally an elementary school teacher created Family Feud off of a PowerPoint template, and I found it. I'm like, I want to do game shows at conferences because people attend. I'd sit in the audience before I'd be presenting, and I literally count, hey, there's 200 plus people here, and of the 200, 90% of them are on their phones and computers. Like, no one's paying attention. And I'd been seeing it enough where I'm like, you know what? If they can't pay attention, I can't teach them anything. So then I'm like, I'm going to pivot. And so my first foray into game shows, I grew up in LA. I'm a game show, growing up, I love game shows. So my first foray was like taking this template and customizing it and then hosting Family Feud, literally a Family Feud game show, 3 growth marketers on one side, 3, and you compete, and then we evolved to which had won, right? Like throwing up creative and get marketers up there debating which was the better performing ad against some KPI, and like
And they're always wrong, and
dude,
they're
90%
always
of the
wrong.
time, not yeah, how good is your gut? How good is your gut? Like, usually not good. And then we evolved into the what was it? The Mobile Heroes, some Mobile Heroes branded game show that was a mix of games and, right, and then we
Mhm.
were doing a lot of those at AGS events. Those are a lot of fun. They worked very well, very creative, they worked very well, a lot of fun to do. I know, man, we ought to do something. Anyways, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Go Biddies is blowing up too. They were always a great company when Boris was there. Now Dennis has joined to just escalate them to new heights. So it's a great partnership.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's
Biddies
going very
AGS. See
well.
you in 2026.
2026, yeah, maybe sooner, who knows? Cool, man.
Yeah.
Have a good
All
one.
right.
See you soon.
Thanks everyone. Later.